Greetings, booktubers, and welcome back to Grammaticus Books. And today we're talking about Harry Dresden and the Dresden Files. We're talking about all things Dresden. We're going to do a Harry Dresden extravaganza here today on the channel. We're going to talk about the ongoing book series of Harry Dresden, both the physical books and the audio books. We're going to talk about the TV series that premiered on the SciFi Channel, and we're going to talk about the new developments in both the books and the literature with Jim Butcher writing those books, and with a potential new TV series as well. We're going to cover all things Harry Dresden here today on the channel, and it should be a lot of fun. Now, this is all part of Occult Detective October, which is a reading event that was created by MJ, if I'm not mistaken, over on her fantastic channel, Reading This Life, which I will link down in the comments section below. Highly encourage you to go over and check out her fantastic channel and check it out. I think you'll like it, and subscribe to it. MJ is a great booktuber here. Now, who is Harry Dresden? Let's get into it. Let's get into the meat of the video. Who and what is Harry Dresden? If you're not familiar with Harry Dresden is a private investigator and a wizard who's working as a PI in Chicago in modern times. It is a Occult Detective mystery fiction series that has been ongoing since the year 2000. And Harry Dresden runs his PI bureau. He advertises openly as a wizard, and most people pass him off as a bit of a kook. But he does work for the Special Investigations Unit of the Chicago Police Department, who calls him in, at least one sergeant in particular who has learned his worth, Sergeant Karen Murphy, and consults with him as a consultant to help work on these bizarre and seemingly out of the ordinary cases that occasionally pop up within the city of Chicago that draw him and Karen Murphy into these occult detective mystery stories here that Jim Butcher has been writing since the year 2000. That is the general backdrop of the Dresden Files, and it's a very fun read. I've been reading these books. I've gone through book 1 all the way up to just finished book 12. There are 17 books currently in the series, with the first book having come out in the year 2000, and that was called Stormfront. From 2000 to 2014, Jim Butcher published roughly one book a year, and then he's skipped a couple of years and put in a few more books, and he's currently at 17 books in the series. And like I said, I just finished the 12th book in the series, and I'll give you guys a rundown of the series here in just a little bit. But the books are great. What I like about these books, what I like about this book series, the positives of it, is you have fantastic world building that's going on here by Jim Butcher across this whole series as he builds it up, with each book building upon the one in front of it. You have this rich, deep, and consistent, and I think that's the key word here, consistent world building from Jim Butcher that builds a believable world based in magic and based in reality and based in modern times, centered in Chicago, that is easy to get into and easy to fall in love with. So the world building is great. And then on top of that, you have great character development by Jim Butcher, with, again, each book building upon the book previous to it. And you have this cast of characters which he slowly adds to, and this cast of characters develops, and each character is a unique independent character with their own unique personality, and they have their own unique character arcs as well. Character arcs that take very surprising twists and turns and build up with these character arcs over the course of the series. But we're not talking Game of Thrones season 7 out of left wing, out of a clear blue sky type of twists and turns. We're talking very enjoyable, and although surprising, they make sense after these twists and turns and these character arcs happen in these stories. And it works very well, and it builds these characters up and makes them very enjoyable to read about. Your main characters are, of course, Harry Dresden, our main protagonist here, our occult detective, our literal occult detective here working in Chicago City. Then you have Karen Murphy working for the Chicago PD. She's a fantastic character who's in here from book 1 all the way through, at least up through book 12. Hopefully she's still around. Jim Butcher does occasionally kill off characters. You have Bob, who is the spirit of a centuries-old wizard that now his spirit resides within a skull down in Harry Dresden's laboratory in his basement, and he acts as a consultant on occult matters for Harry Dresden. And Bob is a fantastic character in these books. He's very funny, he's very humorous. Because Jim Butcher does work a lot of humor into these stories, Harry Dresden is kind of a self-deprecating humorist in here, and Bob likes to take jabs at him from inside of his skull and outside of his skull when he's permitted to come out. You also have Mouse, which is Harry Dresden's cat, which is sort of a main character in here as well. Pardon me, Mr. is the cat. Mouse is his dog. Mouse is a Chinese temple dog that Harry Dresden comes into possession with, who becomes such a main character that the dog Mouse actually has his own character arc throughout these stories. And he's a fantastic character in here as well. And then you have one of my favorite side characters here, which is Butters. And Butters is the night coroner for the city of Chicago in the coroner's office. And he frequently winds up with the after effects of some grisly murder that Karen Murphy and Harry Dresden have brought into him. And occasionally he gets sucked into some of these occult detective, noir, hard-boiled mystery stories that Jim Butcher weaves here throughout this series. And I like Butters a lot. And in fact, Butters is in my favorite book of the series here, which is book number 7, which is Deadbeat. Also going along here, we're still talking about the positives. You've got a lot of fast-paced action. If you like fast-paced action, plot-driven, with good character development, with equal amounts of horror and humor mixed into it, then this is going to be something that's right up your alley. It's very easy to read. It is sort of a summer popcorn thriller type of occult detective action stories that you've got going on here. They're very easy reads. They're very fun reads. And if that sounds appealing, then it's probably something that you'll like. So now let's go into the negatives. Oh, let me throw one more positive out there. Even though there are 17 books and I've been through 12 of them, the other positive that I have to add into this list is they are not formulaic. Amazingly, Jim Butcher is able to avoid these stories becoming very formulaic in nature, unlike some other series that I could name that I do like. They're sort of my guilty pleasures that are very formulaic. The Dresden Files manages to not be formulaic, at least throughout the 12 books that I've currently read out of the 17. So I want to throw that one in there as well. So now let's go on to the cons. And there are a few cons here, unfortunately. Con number 1 is that you need to read them in order. Each book builds upon the book previous to it. And if you want to jump around, if you want to jump into the middle of it, go straight to book number 7, which I think is the best book in the series so far. I do not recommend doing it. You have to read them in order for you to understand the character development and the plot arc developments, because the plots of each book build upon the one previous to it. So it is important to read them in order. I know that's not much of a negative, but it can be a negative for some people, so I want to put that one out there. The other thing is that book 1, Stormfront from 2000, is a good book. It's a good book. I do recommend it, but it's not a great book. Jim Butcher hasn't had the time in order to build up his cast of characters, in order to put their backstories into place and to flesh out a lot of his character arcs and plot arcs yet. So it doesn't have quite as much texture and detail and depth as the following books. And each book just gets better and better as they go along. Book 1 is good, but it's not great, and you need to read them in order. So I do recommend it. It is a fun book to read, but just keep in mind that it starts a little bit slow, and then it builds and it builds and it builds, and it just gets better and better and better. So that's the second con. The third con is that book 9 in the series, which is titled White Knight, is a bit meh. When you hit 9, you're on this upward trajectory with these books just getting more and more fun, getting more and more interesting, and then you're going to hit book 9, which is White Knight, and it's a bit meh. It's not terrible, but it's not up to the standard of the other books. But I am happy to report that the books that follow after that, books 10, 11, and 12, which is where I currently am, do pick up where it left off with book number 8, and they build and they have that continuation of just these stories getting better and better. So it does recover after book 9, but you're going to hit a bit of a stumbling block with book 9. And then the last thing, or there's 2 other things here in the cons. The other thing is that some of the action sequences in here, the magical combat, can become formulaic. While the plots aren't formulaic, some of the action, there is a complaint that the action can get a little formulaic, particularly the occult detective magical action with Harry Dresden, the main character, pointing his blasting rod and yelling "Fuego," which is his big thing, and then a big bolt of fire comes out of it. That does happen quite a bit, but there is a lot of other action that goes on, and Jim Butcher does a lot of research. He's obviously gone into the world of Fae, the very dark world of fairy, the non-Disney world of fairy, with all the fairy magic that he's researched, and he does a lot of bit of magical research for his main character. He's done his homework, and it does come across, but you do get a lot of Harry Dresden pointing his blasting rod and yelling fuego. And then the last complaint, and one that seems to come up the most often with these books, the Harry Dresden Files, the Dresden Files, is that there is a slow power creep with Harry Dresden. And it's true, there is power creep with Harry Dresden. In book 1 in Stormfront, it starts off with Harry Dresden just working as a minor private investigator, occasionally assisting the Chicago Police Department, using sort of minor spells and his links to the land of fairy in order to help the Chicago PD solve these crimes that then veer off into the occult horror side of it. But he's very kind of a low level at this point, and then with each book, his power and the scale and scope of the stories and the scale and scope of the magic in the stories slowly and slowly increases until with book 12, which is called Changes, that I just finished, you literally have demigods in battle in these giant Armageddon-like battles. And it is a valid complaint. To me, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't mind it at all because it does make sense as Harry Dresden progresses through his career and as he is more and more actively engaged and as he gains experience, he does become more powerful, and you have more powerful foes and you have more powerful magic involved. So to me, that power creep, which is there, it does make sense and it does work well. But for some people, they don't like it and they would prefer to see Harry Dresden sort of acting in that sort of lower level, down in the gutter type of magic, down in the gutter, working those mean streets of Chicago. But if Jim Butcher had done that, then I would argue that this series would be formulaic and it would get old. And by changing it up and by increasing Harry Dresden's magical abilities, it keeps it fresh and it keeps the story moving forward in new directions. And so I actually like it. So that's Harry Dresden, the stories. Now let's go on to Harry Dresden, the Dresden Files from the SciFi Channel TV series that was made back in 2000. I've watched the entire series. It came out in 2000. There was one season of it. It had 12 episodes, and they're quite good. It stars Paul Blackthorne as our main hero here, Harry Dresden. It has Valerie Cruz in the role of Karen Murphy, the Chicago PD detective. And then it has Terrence Mann in the role of Bob. And Terrence Mann just knocks it out of the park. For the role of Bob, the disembodied spirit sitting in the skull down in Harry Dresden's laboratory in the basement of his home, they take him out of the skull, Bob, and they make him an actual person. And I think it works really well for the TV series. And Terrence Mann, again, he just steals the show in every scene that he's in. It's a lot of fun. The TV series also is very faithful to the books. It pretty much follows the series of the books, and it is very, very faithful to how Jim Butcher wrote Harry Dresden and the progression of the plots. And it's a good season. I enjoyed it, and I do recommend it. You can currently watch the Dresden Files, the sci-fi TV series, currently on Tubi for free. It's out there. You can check out every single episode for free on Tubi. It is 12 episodes, so some of the episodes are better than others. But overall, it is very good. It was entertaining. And I did enjoy the TV series by SciFi Channel that came out in the year 2000. So now that brings us to what's new with Harry Dresden and the Dresden Files. The big news is that for the first time in several years, a new book is going to be released in the season. Book number 18 is coming out, and it's due to drop into the stores on January of this coming year. January of 2026, we're getting book number 18. It's called 12 Months. And it should be good. It's been a long time in coming. I'm sure that Jim Butcher has put a lot of work into it. I'm hoping to be caught up to that point, to have gone from book 13 to book 17. I probably will not have made it that far. It's taken me years to get to through book 12. I occasionally go out and I read one of these books. And I do physical copies and I do audio copies of the books as well, which I'll talk about in just a second. But we've got a new book. We've got new Harry Dresden coming out in January, and that should be good. That should be a spark, if you haven't started the series, to pick up Stormfront and start with Stormfront and see if you like Harry Dresden. The other big news is that Jim Butcher is currently working on a screenplay for a new TV series that I believe Netflix is the owner of that IP at this point. I'll have to double check that. But Jim Butcher is working on a new TV series, and he's the one who's actually doing the screenwriting for this TV series. Allegedly, he wasn't super happy with the screenwriting, with the scripts, in the original series, although I think it's fine, it's perfectly fine. It's very good and entertaining. But he wants to do his own screenwriting, and he's going to focus on the Vampire War, the war between the White Court of the Wizards, the Council of Wizards, and between the vampires, the Red Court of the Vampires, which plays a big part in the character arcs going all the way from book 1 to book 12, which changes the one that I just finished. So that should be great. If that can come to pass, I would definitely be on board for that, and that should put new life and energy back into the Dresden Files. So the final point here, how to read the Dresden Files. How do I recommend that you guys read Dresden? Do it the same way I did it. Get it with library books. I haven't been putting any of the covers up here. I haven't been holding up any of the books because I've done all of them through the library. Now, generally speaking, my rule of thumb for whether I buy a book or whether I get it from the library is if I can go down to my local library and they have 20 copies of it on their shelves or electronically stored in their system, then generally speaking, it's not a book that I'm interested in owning. And these books are still very popular. I have to have long waits in order to get either the audiobooks or the physical copies of these books in order to either listen to them or read them. And I've done both. I've done a mix of the audio and the physical books. The audiobooks are excellent. They're all done by the same narrator who is very, very good. So you get a consistent narrator across these books going forward, at least from book 1 up to book 12. So the audiobooks are very good. I do recommend them. And the physical books, reading them are equally as good, obviously. If you like the audiobook, you're going to like the physical book. And by doing it this way, you don't spend any of your hard-earned money. If you're not familiar with Harry Dresden, then I certainly strongly recommend that you start with a library book, Stormfront from 2000, before you invest any of your hard-earned cash, and go through that way. That's the best way, in my opinion, to but to read these books and catch up on the Dresden Files. Because otherwise, you're going to be shelling out a fair amount of cash. And these books are always good. They're going to be in the library here, the library system for decades. They've been in it for decades. They'll be in it for decades. So it disincentivizes me from buying these books. This is precisely the type of book for which I use my library system in order to catch up on and enjoy. And it is how I recommend it. But with that, I'm going to wrap that up. This is all things Harry Dresden. If you've read the Dresden Files, put it down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what you guys think about Harry Dresden and the Dresden Files. Are you guys excited for the new book that's coming up? What do you think about a potential new TV series with Jim Butcher himself doing the screenwriting? I think that's fantastic. Again, put it down in the comments section. Let me know what you think. And with that, I've talked long enough, and I'm going to wrap this one up and say take care, be safe, and I'll catch you guys next time.